So we're going to talk about understanding products of fractions. So one way we have this is when we take a fraction times a whole number. So that would be like if we had 1/3 times 4. So what that would look like is if we had 1/3 4 times. So we would have 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. Because we know that multiplication is just another way of doing repeated addition. So we have 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3, and that's just 4/3. And we know that we could flip this and make it into a mixed number, which would be 1 and 1/3. So then another way we can show products of fractions is by taking a whole number and multiplying it by a fraction. So that would be like if we had 5 times 1/2. So this is just like saying if we had groups of something. So if I had 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2. Let me make sure I have all 5. And I do. So that would be like saying I had 5 halves, which is 2 and 1/2. So I have 5 of these halves, or 5/2, which is the same thing as saying 2 1/2. Now another way you could do products of fractions is if you have a fraction times another fraction. Like let's say we have 1/3 times 1/4. So I always like to tell my students that in word problems, they're not going to see times written out. It's going to say of. So 1/3 of 1/4 is what they're going to see in word problems. So I'm going to write this out using a model so that we can visualize what that's going to look like. So I'm going to draw my thirds. So I have 1/3 here, 1/3 here, and 1/3 here. And it's telling me that 1/3 is represented, 1 out of 3. So I'm going to go ahead and shade that in right here. And then my next fraction is 1/4. So my denominator tells me how many times I'm going to split that up over here. So I'm going to go this way, and I have a fourth, a fourth, a fourth, and 1/4. But I only need to shade in 1 out of those 4. I'm going to come across this way and do that. So when I'm multiplying 1/3 times 1/4, I'm looking at how many have both colors represented. And that's going to be 1 out of how many total boxes. So I'm going to count all the boxes, and I see that there are 12 total boxes that are represented. So my answer is 1 out of 12 total boxes. Another way you can do this is by saying 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 4 is 12.